Hey guys, welcome to episode 25. We are going to visit the Hoover Dam, which is not that far away from here. Boulder City is where we are at. So I just have some free time here just after lunch. I've been working hard today, so as a reward, some time to fly. Just a quick hop all the way up to the north. So I hope you enjoy.
I'm passing through 500 Shamrock 715. 715, 134.125.
Okay, so Boulder City, let me have a look at Sky Vector. Boulder City, yeah, so underneath the Las Vegas shell. Looks pretty complex, but as you can see here, looking at the altitude depictions of all these individual Bravo airspace sectors, you can see that they are pretty much high up, starting at 7,000 concerning this sector. This one is 65, 45, until eventually they will reach up from the surface to 10,000, the inner core there of the airspace of Las Vegas, which makes sense. However, what I plan to do is to visit the Hoover Dam, which is already around here. So that's going to be awesome. I know that ORBX has made some custom scenery to create that Hoover Dam, so I'm really excited to see what that looks like. So we can just hop over there as long as we stay under 6,500 feet. As you can see here, perhaps if we just go all the way up north here, we might have a peek at Las Vegas Airport in the distance. I have no idea whether we can actually see Las Vegas, but still. Then we're gonna head up east, following this Lake Mead, I guess, Lake Mead, all the way up north, inbound to a VOR. Mormon Mesa to Mesquite. I thought, a nice uncontrolled airport up north. Let's just go there and see what happens. Oh, interesting stuff going on here on the ramp. Again, the wonders of X-Plane and Prepared. Very interesting. So I guess the ramp kind of is located on the same spot, but the altitude isn't. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be our flight today. So just casual flight, no specific training. Perhaps we're going to do some steep turns, slow flight, whatever I like to do during the flight, or whatever you guys might suggest for me to do. Mostly just have a look at the Hoover Dam, a short flight, and then I'll continue my work here at home. Okay, so let's go through the routing a bit more detailed. So again, Boulder City, there are various runways here. Let's have a look. Don't know them by heart, so let's have an idea here. 0, 9 and 27, right, enough feet there. Oh, and 1533, also enough length. So I guess that 09 would be a good runway for us to depart from, depending on the winds, because that would bring us in the right direction. Yeah, 09er, so that's that runway. So what we could then do is depart and go up to the Hoover Dam. Although we need to make sure that here's a mountain range here. So yeah, mountains up ahead. I guess that if I look outside right now, you can already see those here. So yeah, I guess that we should probably fly close to that mountain range and just follow it along until we reach the Hoover Dam. 09 makes sense depending on the winds. Well, we've got a METAR here. 020 at 5, so those are winds calm conditions. Also, they favor runway 09, so that's good. We need to have a look at the drone traffic activity here at Boulder City, because you never know. Still, it might give us some room to depart from 09, so that's great. Again, looking at airspace as well, we're just as long as we keep below 6,500 feet, then we will just be will be fine. Although if you look at this particular leg, you can see here that this Bravo sector, which is more close to that inner core, starts from 4,500. Well, I made this leg a little bit more to the west, so we could have a look here at Las Vegas, perhaps. I don't know if it's too far away. So what we could do, and I don't know, we don't need to fly that much high up. I like to enjoy the scenery, so I guess we can also stay or stick below 4,500. For example, just 2,500. We'll just have to see what the terrain is doing here in general terms. So we have some mountains, obviously. Have a clue what the green is. 1,500. Yeah, so 2,500 is a bit low. We can fly 2,500, but I guess that 3,000 would be better, something like that. So 3,000 feet, and other airspace as well. As we go up to the east, we leave the airspace stuff, congested stuff, so that's good. We see some airways here. This is just some well, not relevant echo airspace. I guess this is saying only, it seems like a very military-like dangerous zone, but if I remember correctly, remembering the PilotEdge workshops, I think Keith said that this only means that echo airspace is starting from 9,000 feet upwards. Yeah, so what? It doesn't really concern us at all, other than some weather minimums that you shouldn't even care about. In those settings, you should always remain clear of bad weather or whatsoever. So anyway, that doesn't concern us. We're going to fly up very basic, concrete visual reference here, right? We can just follow this lake upwards north. We have a diversion here, an alternate airport in case we have an engine out or something like that. Echo Bay. We move upwards, and I'm just going to fly that radial also as a backup. So we've got a visual reference here, that lake, but also Mormon Mesa VOR 114.3, I guess just straight up north. And until we reach, once we reach that VOR, as you can see, a freeway here, or highway, I don't know the difference. Let's just call it a highway 15. We're going to go up west. We just follow it along until we reach Mesquite. Mesquite. I don't know how you say that in English. And I have no idea what Mesquite is like. 67 Lima. Just curious to see whatever it may look like. Perhaps do some traffic patterns there, just to enjoy ourselves. Primarily, I'm very curious to see that Hoover Dam. So in terms of airspace, we are just fine as long as we stay below 4,500 feet. 3,000 feet is going to be our cruising altitude, I guess, something like that, which is cool. We don't need to stick to those VFR altitudes because we, at 3,000 feet, AGL, we're still, well, below that rule. You only have to stick to those VFR altitude if you're flying above 3,000 feet. AGL altitude, as we've already talked about, so we will be just fine, I guess. And then next up is the weather, because perhaps there is a cloud ceiling or whatever. I didn't remember what the meter of Boulder City was saying about weather. Clear skies, well, that looks good. Las Vegas. Scattered 25,000. Okay, so in general terms, clear sky. So let's have a look here at Boulder City. Just have I guess that's the weather at 25,000. So this is perfect flying weather. Also have to take a look at the winds. Here also winds calm at Las Vegas. 260 at 5, 10 statute miles of visibility. Well, that's just fine. Do we have some other METARs here? No, we don't. Well, we're just gonna have a brief look at the weather charts, just to have an idea of the forecast and what the weather is actually doing. So let's move on. General weather depiction. Again, no low pressure areas nearby. Just this high pressure area, sinking air, which is always a sign of good weather, which is good. In terms of precipitation forecast, none, which is good. Generally, this trough, I don't know what it's called, a trough or a trough, indicates more bad weather, I presume, but still, looking at these charts, at this chart, there is no precipitation of rain, which is good. It is currently 13 Zulu here at the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see. 13 Zulu, well, the left chart is 06 and the right one is 180. So just have an idea what the weather is doing. You can see marginal VFR, that blue bubbly stuff, is going much more to the mainland. And at 18 Zulu, a few hours from now, it will be around that side. Well, in terms of Las Vegas, we are clear of that marginal VFR weather. So that means that we are perfectly fine. Great VMC. This is the graphical air mat, so weather conditions interpreted by pilots, you could say. So there's IMC here near the coast, as usual at Los Angeles. We are now looking at 15 Zulu, so that's about current. Let's have a look at 15. Let's look at 18. Well, no differences there, so that's good. No convective SIGMETs in the area, which means no big thunderstorm-like stuff. Cloud ceilings, well, confirms, right? Oceans, that ocean side here, marginal VFR, so that doesn't touch on the Las Vegas area, which is good. We don't need this Q plot here to determine the cloud tops, because, well, ceilings are one thing, and the floor of a cloud floor ceiling is one thing, but the tops is another. But we don't need that because we don't have any cloud indications here nearby. So we can skip that. Turbulence seems no problem. Visibility, well, that kind of like correlates with the cloud stuff that was going on in the earlier chart. Again, near the ocean, not touching us, I guess. Some looped satellite imagery. Well, the biggest stuff is up north there. Let's have a look at the infrared one to see the thickness of the clouds. Again, you can see it's over there. And finally, lowest freezing levels. We are currently looking at 12 Zulu today. So that's already passed. So let's have a look at 15 Zulu. Orange. Let's have a look at 18 Zulu just to make sure. Again, orange stuff. So that means 13,000 feet. From that altitude, we might hit freezing levels. I don't care because we're not going to fly up that high, but still it's a good preparation to have an idea what the freezing levels are. Radar, again, confirming what we saw earlier, not a big problem. Let me see some NOTAMs here. Well, they don't really apply, I guess, for our departure here at Boulder City. No NOTAMs available. We could also have a look at our destination airports, 67 Lima. I guess no NOTAMs there. And again, PilotEdge is not using these NOTAMs, but as a kind of like simulating real world flight preparation, I just incorporate these just to have fun. Hey Thomas, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. So yeah, that's the NOTAMs. So let's just put in a VFR flight plan, not because it's really practically mandatory that we should in case of PilotEdge, and even PilotEdge isn't even online, only until 5 o'clock here in the Netherlands. So although the servers are always online, we can just fly on PilotEdge, but there are no ATC controllers right now. So no one's going to look at this VFR flight plan, but I just like to incorporate that. Aircraft identification, Papa Hotel, Tango India Mike. We've got a Cessna 182. And our equipment suffix is alpha, so just the classic old vintage style. Let's say 100 knots, cruise speed, departure airport is going to be Kilo Bravo Victor Uniform. And we're going to arrive at 67 Lima. Yeah, 67 Lima. Cruising altitudes, that 3,000 feet. Alternate, well, what was that alternate called? Echo Bay, 0 Lima 9. 0 Lima 9. Route of flight, I'm not going to mention, the remarks are not needed here. File flight plan, boom. Successfully. Okay, good. So back to that chart, we filed our flight plan, 3,000 feet, which is going to be fine, which means that we have completed our flight planning. Almost. There are a few things that we need to check off. That is, for example, fuel. How much fuel do we need to make this trip? Hey, Captain Cripple. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. It's just going to be a nice hop here over the Hoover Dam just to enjoy myself after lunch break here. Kind of like a late lunch break today, but anyway, I feel like flying, so and I'm at home, so here we are. What was I saying? Oh yeah, fuel. Well, SkyVector can calculate the amount of fuel that you need, I guess depending on what you input here on this screen, and I haven't got the time yet to do so. I guess we need to make an account as SkyVector just to give us some specifics about our skylane, so SkyVector can determine the fuel burn and that kind of stuff. There are some general rules though that you can follow to just calculate your range and minutes of fuel and all that kind of stuff just by heart. Just some general rules. And as always, I write those down on my vlog on certifiedpilot.com that you probably already know. So let's go to my ground school training, my private pilot training course that I'm just make myself because I don't know these rules by heart. Let's see. Flight performance. Yeah. So how much fuel on board? Adding up the total gallons of fuel in the left and right wing at times 5 to get the remaining minutes of flight time. Yeah, so when ATC asks you how much fuel do you have on board, you don't give the gallons because that doesn't say much about. I mean, the number of gallons don't take into consideration your fuel burn, right? So 10 gallons for a Cessna Skylane might be quite different for a Piper Cherokee. So how much fuel on board is always given in minutes. Well, this is a very basic for the Skylane. Based on the Skylane, you can. These are very basic calculations, but on the Skylane, you can easily calculate that by just adding the gallons of both wings and both wing tanks times 5, and then you have the remaining minutes, given a certain cruising altitude and pressure and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty basic. How much range do you have, given the number of gallons that you have? Add up remaining total gallons and just multiply by 10. So you know your nautical mile range. Very basic. Again, just cruising altitude, some basic standardized settings. But you can use your own manual here, or your A2A manual, just to calculate these as a general rule, to have a quick idea whether you would reach your destination airport or whatever. Now, required fuel, that's the one that I was looking for. Take 10% of nautical mile, so the nautical miles planned for your flight, to calculate the required fuel burn for that route leg, and add 13 gallons to get the estimated total. So those 13 gallons are needed for taxi, startup, and that kind of stuff. So that's a fixed kind of number of gallons, also including reserve, a 45-minute reserve in case shit hits the fan and you need to divert. That's mandatory. I don't know if it's mandatory, but it's highly recommended by the FAA that you should always bring aboard, obviously, more fuel than strictly needed for your flight in case whatever happens. So take 10%. So yeah, so based on that rule, oh, no, I'm already in the browser. Give me a sec, guys. SkyVector, right. We can just have a look here at SkyVector. So 82 nautical miles. So let's take 10%, 8. About 8 or 9, let's say 9 gallons we need to make this trip for the Skylane, based on those standardized settings, around 9 gallons, plus those 13 that we need in case of reserve and stuff. So that adds up to 22 gallons. Then we're pretty much safe. So we just have to take a look at our fuel tank in just a sec to see whether we have 22 gallons of fuel. Well, pretty basic. I like this stuff. Just have also a mental technique or mnemonic to do that. So yeah. So fuel burn rate and balance isn't really necessary for us here. So we are ready to go. I'm ready to get flying. Can't wait. So what I'm going to do is first a cold and dark check. TrackIR on. That's center. Okay, so here we are, a beautiful Boulder City Airport, nice ramp here. And well, as you've already seen, for you guys who were already at the beginning of the episode, there were some interesting drone taxiing here going on just 30 feet above the ground of, well, the usual Piper Cherokees that just taxi around on X-plane airport elevations rather than here in FSX or in Prepared that I'm using. Golden arc check. Remove control wheel lock. Parking brakes are set. Live fast fire extinguisher checked. Boom, boom, boom. ALT is set to auto. Flaps up. Cabin air is open. Levers are set. Trim is set. Cowl flaps are, well, let's open them. We can keep this in the crossfeed setting. Transponder is set to standby. Static air is off. Let's just cheat here. Avionics are off, and this is all off. Okay, cold and dark. Our airplane is cold and dark, which is good. I was going to remove the tie downs and wheel chocks and that stuff in case we forget. So pitot tube cover, tie downs, wheel chocks have now been removed, put away. So that's good. So that means that next up we're going to check whether the systems are working. So batteries on. Let's see how many gallons we have. Well, we already have 22 gallons in one wing, so let alone we've got like 44 gallons in total. So we've got enough fuel here to make our trip, which is good. Batteries are on. Yeah, so we put on all our lights as usual. Pitot heat on, and well, we can just leave TrackIR on. Let's go outside to have a look if those are actually working. Taxi lights on, landing lights is on, strobe lights are on, position lights on the other wing too. Beacon is working, tail position light is working. Stall warning sound. No, I need that one. Pitot heats. And it is warm. Okay, so that is checked. All the lights off except for the beacon, and pitot heat is off. Then I'm going to turn on the avionics. We hear a beep. Let's see if all the radios are working. It seems like it. Let's turn down the flaps to see if they go down and if they go down in sync. Otherwise, you've got some additional ailerons. Imagine that, just one flap going down, not the other. It's looking good. Let's also just do a elevator flight control test. That is working. Full deflection. Rudder is working too. So that's good. Then I would like to check the annunciator panel. All the lights are working. No low fuel warning, which confirms. So that's good. And fuel you already checked. So avionics off, batteries off. Good. So that means that we are ready to do our exterior work around. We now know that the internal systems seem to be working. Now we can go outside. Buttons, buttons. There we are. So we're going to skip the pitot heat. We've already done that. Baggage door. It is closed. Tie down is removed. Bolts. Everything seems secure. Again, it's looking good. I'm always noticing this one, but this is just fine, obviously. There's nothing here, no structural mechanical stuff going on there, so that's good. And this seems also connected. Again, I offer a cheat sheet on CertifiedPilot.com. So if you're curious to know what the faulty pictures look like, so you have an better idea to how to spot them, go to uncertifiedpilot.com or just Google Uncertified Pilot cheat sheet, A2A Simulations, and you've got a couple of pages there that can help you. Elevator trim, wiggle works, flaps, wiggle works. All this stuff is connected just fine, which is good. Oh, I need to close that window, obviously. Ailerons seem connected and just fine. Tie down is removed, fuel vent is clear, chocks have been removed, good inflation, good color, no contamination. In the wing, actual, well, 22, 21 gallons, this is just fine. Static air, clear. Fuel drain at the nose, no contamination, good color. Let's look at the propeller. Propellers, no dents, they look good. Intakes, clear. Filter looks good. Oil, enough quartz, good color. Static air on the other side is clear. Gallons. Again, these are 22 gallons. That's fine. Good color, no contamination. Chocks removed. Inflation looks good. Tie down removed. Already checked. Fuel vent is clear. Ailerons. Connecting rod. Everything looks good. And finally, again, flaps that wiggle. And are they connected? It seems like they are. So that completes our exterior pre-flight, and we don't need to visit the maintenance hangar because our airplane is in good shape. So we can move on to the before engine starts, starting with our briefing. A short one again, just to rehearse what we're going to do. So we're going to depart from runway 09. So that's, let me get a marker here. So we're going to depart that direction. And obviously we need to make sure that we're not going to fly into that mountain ridge here. So I guess a what is it? Right pattern is 9 right. So we've got two 09 runways. Okay, I didn't notice. Okay, I'm gonna look at that right now. Seems like there's only one 09, but Boulder City already had that in another tab. 092715. I don't see a 09 right. There's just a 09. Well, we're going to have a look. It doesn't really matter, although we need to pick the longer runway, obviously. That's my most concern, and my biggest concern. So, yeah, so I guess then if that is a right pattern, perhaps our 09 is also a right pattern. Let's just... well, I don't know what that is. What is it saying here? Just the 09 are here. 09, it's also a right pattern, yeah. So let's do a right pattern. So that means that we are not allowed to go like that. So that means that we're gonna just do a right pattern all the way around. And I guess then flying midfield. High above, over the field, and then to the Hoover Dam. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, that's the briefing. We first reference was that Hoover Dam, so I guess that's going to be a heading of about, well, 037 once we cross the field. Need to stay below 4,500, so 3,000, that's just good. Then we are going to the left side of this lake just to see if we can peek at Las Vegas. I don't know, we're just going to see. We can even fly a little bit further along if we just stay at 3,000. So that lake is the max, I guess, that we can go. Then we're going to return, follow that lake, then go up north. We're going to see Echo Bay, inbound to Mormon. I'm going to set that in just a sec once our engine is started. And then we reach Mesquite, just a left, I guess. What's the runway here? That is runway 0119er. So I guess 01 would be our runway of choice. It's a left pattern. And what's the elevation or the traffic pattern altitude? Well, nothing is mentioned there, so I guess just the usual 1000 feet HL. Okay, so a very basic flight, fun flight, I hope. Really looking forward to that Hoover Dam. Hope. So that completes our briefing, although I'm curious to see what direction we need to go to get to our runway. Well, that's 09. So looking at the compass here, it means that the beginning of the runway is around there. So, well, we just need to follow those taxi signs, and we'll have a look at if there's a 09 right and a 09 left. Need to pick the biggest runway, but we can do that while we are taxiing, so that's not a problem, I guess. Hey, Christopher Doe. Hey, flew over the Hoover Dam in real life last year, and that sparked my interest for flying. Great videos, by the way. Thank you, man. And cool that you've been flying over the Hoover Dam. Well, we're going to see here in Flight Sim how it looks like. So let me know if it's realistic or not. It's ORBX scenery, so I'm expecting to see some good stuff here. Okay. Here we go, guys. So I'm going to fasten my seatbelts. We're going to close the door. There we are. We are going to check whether our lights are on. On my Saitek panel I can see that beacon light is on, which is good. Fuel tank selector set to both. Cowl flaps already open. This is already set. That is good. So batteries on. Fuel pump mixture in. 1, 2, 3. Cut off. Fuel pump off. Throttle 1/4 inch in, something like that. And parking brakes are set. Yeah, parking brakes are set. Let's have a look if there is no one walking in front of us. Nope. So clear prop. There it goes. Full mixture. 1200 RPM. I can see on the left side that the oil pressure is rising, which is good. Alternator on. I can see a charge on the M-meter. Let's lean the mixture for ground operations. You dip in that RPM. Around there. Reset to 1000. Avionics on. Flaps up. Transponder set to on because we're ready to go. And now we can allow the engine just to warm up. And while it warms up, we can set our frequencies. So, what's the CDAV of Boulder City? I guess it's already set in the COM1 active, but still 1 to 2.7. Yeah, that's set. What else do we need? Well, obviously now right now PilotEdge air traffic controllers are not online, so there's no need for us or no fun in tuning into the tower frequency or approach frequency or whatever of Las Vegas or McCarran, I should say. So let's just stick to CDAV. We're going to depart here, then we're going to reach Echo Bay. That's 1 to 2.8. Well, let's set that to the standby. 1 to 2.8. Yeah. And then we're going to move up 1 to 2.8 here for Perkins, which is good. And finally, Mesquite also uses 1 to 2.8, which is usual that these CTAF frequencies are shared among uncontrolled airports, which is helpful or practical here. Although imagine when it's busy and a lot of airplanes are flying on those airports, then imagine all the chatter on that same frequency. So you need to be very careful then to identify what airports those pilots are at, because otherwise you might be very confused, and it's dangerous, and accidents happen because of that. Okay, well, obviously I'm pointing at it right now. We need to set Mormon MESA 114.3. The nav 114.3. And that it's set, and I guess when I look at Sky Vector here, it's going to be a straight up line there. So the radial is going to be just 0. Yeah, you can see already 180. So let's already set the OBS, so we don't need to reset anything. Inbound north. And that's about it. All the other stuff is PilotEdge, so PilotEdge. So we are ready to go. ADIS, that might be helpful, I guess. Well, unfortunately, as I mentioned already a couple of times before, AWAS isn't AWAS technology isn't implemented in Flight Sim, only ASOS or ATIS. So no use to tuning that in here, 118.475. But we could obviously tuning to Henderson here or Las Vegas. So let's do Henderson. It's more nearby. 1 to 0.775. 1 to 2.7. It's already set, I can see. And COM2 is also already on, but not picked up yet, I guess, because we're on the ground. So once we're airborne, we're going to pick that one up. So that means that Henderson might not be the most helpful ADIS, I guess, because that's very local. Then we're already en route. So is there any other ADIS here that we can pick up on? Again, damn it. An AWAS. So not one that we can use. Looking for other stuff here. I guess not. It's a really deserted area, which I like really, but still no ADIS there. So just visual reference. I guess looking at the forecast, weather forecast, we know that we cannot expect any marginal VFR or IMC stuff there. Okie doke, that's it. We're ready to go, guys. Very simple, cool, fun flight. Let's cross-check the heading indicator. We're heading up north. Are we heading up north? Yep, so heading indicator is cross-checked. Engine is getting warm, not really there yet, but we're ready to go even to do our taxi. We are leaned, transponder set to on, lights are on. Yeah, we're ready to go. So let's have a look where we need to go to. I have no idea. So let's taxi to the left here. We need to go to that direction, I guess, to pick up 09 and go that direction. I can already set the heading bug here to 09 for the right hand departure, downwind departure, and then we're gonna overfly midfield. Elevator, we should set the altimeter. We can derive the altimeter setting by just setting the altimeter to the current airport elevation. Just gonna look here at the sky vector. That is for Boulder 2204. Well, 2204, it's set perfectly. So our current altimeter setting is correct, I guess. Is current 303 and a bit, 3033. Okay, anything else? No, we're ready to go. So release parking brakes. Test brakes, they are working. And there we go. Gonna make a nice slow turn here to the left. Step indicator, turn indicator is working, heading indicator is working, so we are good. Winds are calm, so no need to do our crosswind correction. And by the way, based on the previous episodes, for you guys who are following my journey here towards my instrument rating, Disgraced and I don't know what the other guy was, were mentioning that I was doing my crosswind corrections wrong, and they were absolutely right. Those guys are experts either way, so I was very glad that they mentioned that stuff. I'll just explain to you in a moment again, just for the sake of this training series, what the correct taxi stuff is doing. I'm just going to pick up this taxiway, I guess. Yeah. Right turn. So the idea is as follows. If you got a headwind, you do not use any yoke correction. If you got a tailwind, you're gonna push forward on the yoke. So you're gonna come almost like dive with the wind. That's the idea. I was doing the complete opposite last time. So this is the correct one. Headwind, you do nothing. Tailwind, you push forward. And in terms of crosswinds, you steer into the wind. So if you got a tailwind coming from the right, you would point to the right and forward. That's the idea. So guys, there we are. Let's see if we spot 2 runways. Hangars. Engine is warming up. It's already warm, so that means that once the oil temperature and the cylinder head temperature is in the green, we are ready to do our run-up, our power check. Otherwise we must we could damage the engine. Now let's have a look here. I can see 3315 there. I guess that's this runway that we're gonna cross. So the other runway must be the 009. Runway is clear. Boulder City traffic, Skyline Papa Delta Tango, iMac is crossing runway 33 midpoint. Boulder City. Boulder City traffic, Skyline Papa Delta Tango, iMac is clear runway 33. Just to make sure, you don't know whether one is, if a pilot is inbound. Now let's see whether that runway is the right runway. If it isn't, it doesn't really matter that much. We could just change our plans easily. Winds calm conditions, not a lot of traffic going on here, but still. Well, 7 guys online. Thank you, man. I didn't expect anyone to be online right now. I just had this free time on my hands here in the afternoon here in the Netherlands, in between work at home. So I thought, well, let's just fly because I feel like it. Expecting not a lot of you guys to be online here, but it's great to see that you, that some of you are. Welcome on board. And if you are not following me, my uncertified pilot channel, please do. You will get a instant notification by mail when I'm flying, so you can jump aboard right away. And also it's a great encouragement, at least for me personally, to see that you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. Well, this is a very obvious run-up area, so we're going to use that. Go to the far end. Curious to see what's on that taxi diagram, taxi sign. 9er right. Well, okay. Apparently there's a 9er left. Okay, so let's turn like so. Cool. Park and brakes are set. Set to 1000. And let's look at our engine. Its oil temperature is in the green, and our cylinder temperature is in the green, so that means that we can do our run-up. Okay, so first off, we're going to close the windows because dust or other stuff might come in, which is not a good thing. Other windows also closed. Mixture full in, prop is full in, elevators set, fuel tanks both, cowl flaps are open for cooling, which is good. Lights we don't need, so we are perfectly set to do our park and brakes are set and the engine is warm. Yeah, so we are ready to go. So increasing RPM to 1800. Something like that. And then we're going to do our mag test. So left seems good, back to both. Right seems also good, back to both. Landing lights on to see if we see a charge on the M meter. Yep. So battery is, the generator is working. Then prop, I can hear the RPM and I can see the manifold pressure rising, which is 2 signs in one cycle. And the oil pressure is down and resetting itself, so that's good. Noticing now in the difference an airplane departing from 27, so yeah, that's PilotEdge for you in drone traffic. Okay, so that's set. Then let's go to full idle to see if our throttle stop is working and that our engine doesn't quit on us in idle. Seems to work just fine. Again, no annunciator messages there. Oil pressure is still there. So that's good. Let's reset to 1000 and we are ready to go. So departure briefing, well, we're just gonna wait what that guy is doing there. I have no idea. Just have a wait. And we can, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna depart 09. It's a right hand pattern. So we're gonna fly up to 3000, which is already our cruising altitude, and we are going to the west then, and then fly over midfield. So we're gonna take off here, then to the right, all the way downwind, and then we're gonna cross here over the field to get to that Hoover Dam direction. That's what I plan to do. I guess now in hindsight, it would be much more much more sense if we just departed from 27, but still, that's what you get when you plan your stuff. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, what is that other airplane doing? Is it doing anything? Is it an airplane or not? I know there was some other drone traffic, but I don't know for sure. Perhaps it's just an antenna or something like that. I know it looks like beacon-like, but it's flashing too quick, I guess, as for a beacon. Well, what we could do is just go, otherwise we'll be waiting here for a long time, and it's just drone traffic. I haven't got a collision on with other aircraft, so we'll be just fine. Acknowledging the fact that we should actually wait and do announcements in the real world. So landing lights on, strobe lights on, trim is set, windows are closed, cowl flaps are open. We set our transponder to altitude because we're going to fly right now. Heading indicator is set, bug is set, briefing we done, right hand downwind and then cross, altimeter is set. Yeah, we're ready to go. Oh, that's not, I should use my Saitek panel there. Yeah. So here we go. Let's line up. Haven't seen any other traffic around in the air right now. Oh yeah, that's something that I forgot to do, which I want to do just before we take off anyway. Is always do your flight control checks twice. Once as part of the pre-flight and once as part of the run-up. Down, down. Need to be damn sure that that is working. Yeah, it's working. Cool. Okay, so yeah, it's an antenna, I guess. So let's do our announcement. Boulder City traffic, Skyline Hotel Tango iMac is departing runway 09 right for a right downwind departure. We're going to cross over midfield at 3000, heading up to the north. Boulder City. Parker brakes released. Mixture's full in, lights are all on. Yeah, we're ready to go. Away! Boulder City. No one on the runway. No one on final. There we are. Ah, it departs on the 27 right. Okay. So, throttle in. Engine looks good. Right rudder, right rudder, right rudder, right rudder. Oh, what a lot of right rudder we need. Man. And lift off. Yeah. A lot of surface wind there. Goodbye, Boulder City. Get to VY, 80 knots. To 2700. And then we're 300 feet below traffic pattern altitude and start our right turn. So around here. No traffic around. There we are, 3000, pushing on that yoke. We can increase that turn. And we can slow down on that throttle. Look for that heading bug. It's now on the left. So we're now in crosswind. No need to do your crosswind announcements. Suggested by A2A. Trimming down. Boulder City traffic, Skyline Hotel Tango India Mike is on the right, downwind runway 09 right at 3000. Gonna cross over midfield heading up to the north, Boulder City. Going pretty fast for a traffic pattern, but well, doesn't really matter that much. 3000 feet seems still a bit low for our cruising altitude. Looking at the terrain, should have considered Boulder City Airport's elevation better, I guess. Keeping my landing lights on, obviously, and getting to a climb setting. So around 20 inches is good. Gonna lower my RPM to 2200. Release my right pedal, right rudder correction and leaning. Perhaps we could have already taken off with a lean setting because we are at a density altitude here. See the EGT rising. Midfield. There's our 09 rights. Should have said 09er, just to stick to that. Let me see, am I going to the west? That doesn't make sense. There's the lake, yeah. Looking at sky vector here. Still keeping my landing lights on. So something like that. A little less manifold and trim nose down, pushing on that yoke. Okido, landing lights off, cowl flaps closed, enough air is now flowing into the engine to cool itself. Transponder can remain to mode C, 1200, yeah, cool. Nice low flight. There's that lake. 037 sky vector set. Well, we are perfectly flying 037 right now heading, which is good. We're cross-checked. Hey Ruben, welcome on board. So, I can see the Hoover Dam. It's over there. It isn't restricted, right? No, there's no restricted area whatsoever around the Hoover Dam. So, how should we approach? Should I just overcross this mountain range? Or is it just a bridge? I don't know what it looks like a bridge. Just gonna fly over the lake here and then turn to the right. Perfect flying weather. Some scenery in front of us, some harbor, I guess. Let's have a look. Again, just a little less manifold there. Engine is looking great. AGT might be a little bit more high up to get that best economical performance. A bit of nose up. Already got that VOR. Mormon VOR is already tuned in. So that's the radio that we're going to pick up on. Okay guys, let's have a look. Hoover Dam. So what I'm going to do is just fly over this lake and then to the right here. So we fly over it and then return, so we got to have a more nice frontal look at it, at the Hoover Dam. That's the idea. Pitot tube. Nice clouds. Perfect flying weather. Okay, let's see. There's a bridge here. That's not the Hoover Dam, obviously. Don't know what that is. I guess electricity factories or something like that. Okay, here we go. ORBX, show us the money. Let me see what that Hoover Dam looks like. I mean, this is why I like VFR flying. It's just enjoying the scenic stuff of flying. Old style navigation. Old school navigation, I meant. Let's have a look. It should be somewhere around here. I guess people watch the Hoover Dam looking from the bridge to this side. So here we are. Yeah, there it is. You can see already the first kind of... I'm tempted to fly under the bridge, but I'm not going to. What we can do is just pass it, get some speed, just for the sake of the channel. I mean, there should be some fun involved. I don't know what that stuff is, but solar panels, or keeping the Hoover Dam to the left so we can peek down. And there it is, the Hoover Dam. Nice. Yeah, Tim. You can hear the wind increase. Nice. Always reminds me of that Superman movie, where Superman needs to fix the Hoover Dam because it's broken down. Watching as a young kid. Okay, let's keep that turn. Okay. So what we're going to do is pick up on that northbound radial. Just gonna say hi to the Hoover Dam one last time. Yeah, what's that stuff? No idea. So let's get a climb going here. The radial's to the right of us. Although what we plan to do is not really to already catch that radial, but to go a little bit more there to the west, to the end of the lake, so we might have a peek at Las Vegas, which I'm also quite curious to see. So let's do that. Very nice. Cool. Smart to stick a little bit to the coast here, or the coastal line, if you call it a coast. It's a lake, but a little bit near the land, because if we've got an engine failure, we can we prevent ditching in the lake. Captain Cripple, I was still doubting about buying a TrackIR because I'm a total newbie on P3D, but when I see your videos it will be worth the money, I guess. Oh yeah, it definitely is. I guess its added value is really in the fact of spotting traffic. I mean, this is also very comfortable, obviously, just to have a look around, which is it's very quick stuff. If I just pause TrackIR, it's much more static in that sense. But especially in terms of PilotEdge, when you need to spot traffic and be very wary of other airplanes, it's very handy. And also in terms of PilotEdge, I guess, looking outside, using your visual references. If you're just flying on instruments or on your GPS, not that necessary, I guess. But in terms of PilotEdge and PilotEdge and PilotEdge flying, it really makes sense to use TrackIR. Which specs you got? I guess when you put in, you type exclamation point hardware in the chat, you'll get a link to my website where I outline my my hardware and software. Or exclamation mark PC, I guess, would also yield the same thing. No, not hardware, I guess. Guess PC. Oh, yeah, PC. That's the link. So just follow that one, and you get to the uncertifiedpilot.com, and you see a outline of the stuff that I'm using. Meanwhile, just to be sure, we're flying inbound to Las Vegas once more. So we're now flying here to that point. Need to make sure that we don't bust that 4500, let alone this inner core. So there's a lake here. Big lake, smaller lake. We don't need to fly further down west on that lake. So as you can see, let's turn on TrackIR again. Here's that big lake, and there's that smaller lake. So yeah, so this is our kind of like max westbound direction. And there's Las Vegas, but I guess we're too far away to have a quick look at the scenery. So I'm just gonna fly near the edge of that lake, and then we're gonna make a right turn, and then we're gonna catch that northbound radial to Mormon VOR. Again, don't get too high, Tim. Let's stick to 3500, just to stay 1,000 feet below that ceiling, just to make sure. Although in theory, or in practice really, you could fly just at 4,499, just to then you're still legally okay. But with a slight difference in altimeter setting, not a current altimeter setting, you might bust that airspace, which is not a good thing. No guys, I don't see any Las Vegas here. It's too far away. But we will get there sometime, I promise. In season 4, when I fly jets IFR, we're going to visit Las Vegas. So we're going to head back towards the lake. Get up north. Again, engine is looking great. Everything is in the green. Can switch our CTAF to, what was it called, our alternate Echo Bay. Again, a CTAF or untowered airport, so I guess not a lot of chatter at this time of day. Now in these states, most pilots and also the ATC controllers are deep asleep. So not a really busy day, busy time here on the PilotEdge network. So what I'm going to do is just follow again this coastline to the east. So we will eventually get that needle centered, and we're going to fly 90-degree left turn to the north. Do you think i5 processor is good for this game? I have no idea, bet good boy. I have no idea. I'm not really that much of a hardware kind of specialist. I just bought at the time, the top-notch iMac that I could afford, with the best graphics card. And obviously for a Mac, you also buy in on the software and the the design and that stuff. So it's a relatively expensive buy. Just for the sake of a flight simulator computer, I'm also using this PC for other stuff, so that's why I love Mac. But still, for my next generation of hardware, I'm gonna buy a dedicated flight sim computer, and with that same amount of money, I get a lot further, I guess. Much better, stronger, powerful computer. But I have no idea on the specifics if an i5 processor would do. Just look at the forums, fsim.com, flightsim.com, I guess, I don't know for sure. A lot of forums on Flight Simulator where guys like us are around, especially those who know a lot about hardware. There are even now sellers, PC sellers that sell PC configurations specifically to Flight Simulator users, which are completely optimized to Flight Sim. So when I'm considering when the time comes when I'm gonna buy my next flight simulator PC, I'm gonna do something like that. Okay, following along. Perfect flying weather. I mean, flying is so relaxing, guys. Man, love it. Been really busy trying to figure out flight following, which is the next step of my training, and I would also like to include in the next episode, or very soon at least, as part of the first stage of my training. Because when you do long distance flights, also in the real world but also on PilotEdge, flight following makes a lot of sense. Even more so, you're stupid not to use it. And for those who are new to flight following, it's a free flight service, free flight assistance provided by ATC on a workload permitting basis for VFR pilots. So you can just request flight following, and you just have an additional set of eyes, and a controller who just follows you along while you're flying, and he gives you regular traffic alerts, or well, all kinds of stuff, but primarily he or she is there just for you in case you need assistance. For example, you can just contact the controller and say, hey, what's the vector to the nearest airport? And you say, well, this is the vector. Or I've got an engine emergency. Well, here I am. What should I do? Boom, there he is. I'm about to bust a Charlie airspace. Can you help me transition that airspace? And there you go. So it's a really practical service, very useful, and it's also completely and it's entirely simulated on PilotEdge. So I've already conducted a few flights before as part of this series, where it made a lot of sense to use flight following, and I didn't, because I didn't know how to use flight following and how to request it, and what the constraints are, and what I should say on the radio and that kind of stuff. But now I'm studying what you can do with flight following and how you should request it, which is a lot of fun. It kind of like gives you more like it makes your VFR flights a bit more IFR like, in the sense that you are chatting with ADC also en route, even though in IFR it's a completely different setting, because their ADC is just instructing you what to do, right? Well, with flight following, you are still in charge, you are still responsible, and you can do whatever, but you can chat with ATC if you like. So that's cool. That's really, really cool. So that's one of the things that I'd like to do in my future episodes. Here you can see already some guys here on the channel who know a lot more about hardware, FS hardware, than I do. Just ask and drop it on the channel. So, following along northeast, waiting for that radial here, Nav1, to catch us while we enjoy the scenery. Not a good place to have engine trouble. Also noticing that I'm bringing up these potential emergency scenarios only en route. I did the last episode, I know. But I should also do that as part of the departure briefing, because the engine out scenario is much more likely during departure in a full power setting rather than just en route. So it's really good practice to, while you depart, just take off just after rotation. Not just only, I mean, it's so simple now, departures, just only to watch your airspeed and your attitude, but also look outside. Even preferably before you do your takeoff, or already decide on a likely or best crash site in case you got an engine out. And well, I already dedicated an episode to that, to how to do emergency in-flight at departure on in various phases of your takeoff, of your departure, which was quite cool. But I should incorporate that preparatory thinking as part of each flight. As I take off, just look outside. Okay, in case now the engine drops or fails on me, where can I land? Because that takes the much time actually. As soon as your engine goes out at 400 feet or so, even to recover from that position and managing your airplane, you would already be 100 feet lower, almost already in the trees. So it's good stuff to prepare for that. Well, the needle is coming in, as you can see in F1. Engine is looking good. Cylinder head temperature is in the lower half. I like it to be it in the upper half. Doesn't really matter that much, I think, but still. I've closed my cowl flaps, so not a lot that I can do to make the engine more warm, although I could lean a bit more, perhaps that will work. EGT is still high up, but perhaps we can get it even more high up. Hey, disgraced, welcome aboard. You need to have a takeoff failure plan before you even get in the plane. It's too late if you're thinking about it on the roll. Yeah, I know. And I've included it also on the checklist and also dedicated an episode to it. But now, once I did it, I guess that's also counts for student pilots who just had that module of how to cope with emergencies, and it just deal with that in that particular flight lesson, and then once they completed it, they just do not incorporate or integrate that knowledge as a procedure in their every flights, and that seemed to be happening with me also. Should we turn to the north? I guess so. Again, visual reference here is that lake, so we can just easily follow that to the north, but it's also good to combine PilotEdge with radio navigation. Beautiful weather here. Also, what I like about flying more in the eastern parts of California, Southern California, is always good weather. I especially love Palm Springs. It's my home airport, kind of virtual home cockpit airport. It's always good weather there. Remember, some of you perhaps who've been following me from the start, when I started at Oceano, one of the earlier episodes, at the beginning of the season, a lot of bad weather hit Oceano at that time, which prevented me from flying, which was a bummer. So yeah, I guess if you would like to get flight lessons, do that more in the eastern part of LA. And as Grace, I also mentioned at the beginning of the episode, indeed I've been looking on YouTube again for those crosswind corrections during taxi, and yeah, corrected for that. So tailwind, push forward on the yoke, so you dive with the wind, almost something like that, but you push forward on the yoke, and crosswinds you push into. Your aileron into the wind. I guess there was also some other stuff that I needed to mention, or I'd like to mention here on the stream. That I wrote down. Let me have a look. Yeah, crosswind yoke correction. Oh yeah, disgrace. I've got another question for you. I don't know if you're still listening or still here, but you mentioned that in the previous episode that traffic pattern entry procedure that I used at Boulder City, so crossing over midfield and then entering the downwind leg, was not a really safe procedure, because in that, as I did it in that previous episode, I could just descend on top of other traffic beneath me, which makes sense. However, if I should have done, which I didn't, but if I had did the teardrop then, so I still fly over midfield, head downwind or on the, you know, perpendicular to that downwind leg, but then extend it as that with that teardrop kind of procedure, and then enter the downwind leg from the outside in. That would, I guess, prevent me from flying on top of the traffic, right? So would you recommend that as a procedure? Because I still like to stick to the whole idea of first overflying the field, have a look what the drone activity is doing, and then entering the traffic pattern rather than just flying a few miles ahead and then re-entering with the 45-degree downwind. So, well, oh, sorry, disgraced. Okay. Anyway, guys, any one of you guys, anyone else has an idea on that? I guess that the teardrop kind of procedure would make sense, but if you fly away from the field, that is most likely okay. Okay. It is just that you don't want to wave around in the upwind, crosswind, and downwind. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so using that rule, I guess that overflying the midfield at a higher altitude than traffic pattern altitude, and then using that extended teardrop turn from the outside in to get into the traffic pattern would be the safest way to do that midfield kind of style entry. Still, the preferred entry would be the 45-degree entry on the downwind leg from the outside in, not overflying first. Okay. Increases collision threat. Yeah. Thanks, Disgraced. It's always so much fun to meet you guys here on the channel. Disgraced also has a great channel on YouTube and on Twitch with a lot of proper quality training stuff going on. So he's a great resource to learn from. And what better to have him on board here today. Thanks, Disgraced. Okay, again, sticking to the land side of this lake, so in case we run into trouble, we can reach the land quicker than when we fly over the lake. A needle is still near us. We're very slowly creeping in on it. Let's see what the heading indicator is doing. We are still cross-checked. You're welcome, Disgraced. Bum bum ba-dum bum. What nautical miles? 26 miles inbound to Mormon for those who've just joined the channel. We're flying from Boulder City underneath the Las Vegas, or I should say McCarran International Airport airspace, Bravo airspace, all the way up north to a unrelated, totally random airport, uncontrolled airport, Mesquite, I don't know how you say it in English, 65 Lima, just to explore this this area, primarily focused on having a look at the Hoover Dam, which we did. So now we've been tracking this, or we are still tracking the radial here inbound to Mormon VOR, and I guess we're flying around here until we reach Mormon VOR. Right turn, Mesquite. 01 was it? I don't know what the runway is here. 01, and it's a left pattern. Also, guys, just a I don't know if it's helpful for you, but I am a kind of guy that always gets frustrated by ads on websites. I guess you too. I don't know for sure, but still, that's me. And especially SkyVector as that top frame with that ad and a lot of spacing there. So I accidentally bumped into a Google Chrome extension. Those are software extensions that you can just freely download through the extension store or extension website of Google, just through your browser. An extension that is called Stylize. And if you know a little bit about CSS styling, that is a style sheet, kind of like well, not really programming style, but it's a language that is used to make websites look pretty. You can use that extension to just disable certain elements of a website, or any website, and it just saves that style sheet, your custom style sheet, for whatever website you visit. So in my case, I visited skyvector.com, enabled that Stylize extension, and just removed those banners and stuff. So now I have my entire browser screen is now just SkyVector, which is just a minor upgrade, but I really like it. So just a tip. I guess it's called Stylize. Let me have a look for those who are interested. Stylize, yes. Ah, some green there to the left. Not only desert-y-like scenery. Again, engine runs great. Good trim. I mean, no autopilot, guys. Just trimming. Nicely high up EGT. Cylinder temperature is fine. Gallons are okay. You can see that the left tank is a little bit, I don't know why, but I guess from cross-feeding or something like that, because we continuously set our tanks to the left. I don't know how that works, but so what we could do is just set the tanks to the right, just to experiment and see what happens. No, I shouldn't. Not to the right, to the left. We need to use up that fuel on the left side. Need to remember that we did that, so we can reset it to both in a few minutes. Also love just a simple add-on, but at least for me with not really a high-end PC, but I really like the shadows of clouds. Really makes, I don't know, increases the experience of immersion, I guess. Now there's an airport. I know which one that is. Let's have a look at SkyVector. Yeah, Perkins. Perkins 122.8. Right pattern 3.1. Oh, I was already continuously in SkyVector, my bad. Perkins. Switch back. Clouds, yeah, so the shadows here. Very much like those. Let alone soft clouds bar X. Pretty. I just noticed on Twitter that they've released a new server spec. Didn't download it before. There were some upgrades that allow them not to use any SQL server stuff, which doesn't really result in more pretty clouds. I guess it's just a leaner version of the software. Still, it's available on the Rex website. Oh man, this is relaxing. I'm gonna take a cookie. Ha ha ha. The virtues of virtual flight sim. I'm just gonna take one cookie. See if we can ident the VOR. I don't know Morse yet, but I should. Mormon VOR, MMM. Yeah, so those are 3 long. No, it's beep, beep, and that, yeah, so 2 long beeps times 3. So that means you don't even need to memorize Morse, because on the charts it's already depicted. Is that true for every VOR? Yeah, Boulder. Oh, alright. I downloaded an app on my iPad just to at some point practice Morse, but I guess, or memorize Morse, but that's not really necessary, fortunately. MMM, okay. So let's have a listen. Nav 1. Ah, that's great. Yeah, thanks. Can you hear? 2 long times 3. Again. Yeah, so we identified the VOR, which is good practice. Oh man, cookies are good. EGT nicely high up. Engine nicely in the green. Look at the airport elevation of Mesquite. 1978. Okay. So that means that we are now flying on traffic pattern altitude in relative terms. Okay. Well, there's a river here turning away eastbound. Which I guess is bringing water to that lake south of us that we just flew by. So let's have a look at Sky Vector to see if we can spot that river. And we can. So what we could also do is just ignore the radial and follow that river. And eventually we would spot Mesquite north of that river. And it would also join that highway. So pretty basic. Let's go for it. Mesquite is also CTEV 122.8. Yeah, so that's set. A little bit nose up trim. So guys, and for those who are watching, welcome aboard. Also, I'm always looking for other streamers or YouTube channels that you guys find interesting and you learn from and use to improve your flying. So please on chat, direct me to your favorite streams and YouTube channels so I can expand on my resources, training resources. Much appreciated. I know of Disgraced, I know of Keith Smith, I know of John Fly, I know of Catstrader, the usual guys. Matt Davis, Frugal, obviously. He is not really a training resource, I think. Also, the other ATC controllers of PilotEdge also have stream accounts. Peter Gray, Anthony something. Just keep on learning. Also M0A. There's this Jason Shepard, a real world, even an award-winning certified pilot, certified instructor, I mean. A young guy with very instructional videos on YouTube, a lot of followers. The Force, check out military air simulations. Mostly military flying, but quite interesting. Thanks. Daniel, my favorite streamer is Garak Durak. Yeah. But he only streams in German. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a bummer. My German isn't that in shape. Even though I live quite near the border of Germany. There's that highway. I can see the airport already in the distance. So 01 left traffic. A quick look here. Sky vector. So that means we are flying like this. So what we can do is just a straight in, obviously. But preferably what we could do is, again, that teardrop move. I would like to fly like this, overfly the field to see if there's any drone traffic, then right teardrop, so we enter that left 01 and then land. That's my favorite. So I'm just gonna do that because I'm the pilot in command. The Force, the area you're flying right now is a lot of fun for low-level flying at like 400 knots. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's not something that my Skylane can do. Mesquite traffic, Skylane Papa Hotel Tango India Mike is around 8 miles southwest of the airport at 2,800. We're inbound for a full stop. Gonna fly from the southeast midfield to enter the left downwind runway 01. Mesquite. Unfortunately, we don't have any ADAs or ASOS nearby. Oh, look at those mountains. Wow. So we cannot pick up information. Altimeter, our current altimeter setting. Which is a bit unfortunate, but still. Gonna set my heading bug to 01. Gonna turn on my landing lights. My cowl flaps closed. We're still leaned, but I guess that's fine because we're a little bit high up. Oh, there's an elevation issue, I see. So that's when, I guess, regional scenery is combined with the default scenery by prepared. And in some places they do not match, so you can see that actually Mesquite is embedded in the scenery, which is going to make our approach interesting, I guess. Also in terms of a ramp, because it might just be underneath that stuff. Well, we're gonna have a look. Mesquite traffic, scanning Papa Hotel Tango, and your mic is 3 miles south of the airport at 3000. We're gonna fly over midfield from the east to enter the left downwind runway 01 for a full stop. Mesquite. Nicely high up EGT. Gonna reduce that speed a bit. Gonna increase my mixture a bit. Okay, there is a ramp, but it's gonna be a funny stop there. Let's just have a look. I guess it's a good example of, a great case for practicing short field landings and takeoffs, or an obstacle departure. So there's our speed. First notch of flaps. Going to push on that yoke just to get to about 90 knots. Again, I don't see any traffic, which doesn't really surprise me, really. So there we go. Around traffic pattern there. Still a little bit of more nose down. Mosquito traffic, scanning Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is crossing midfield at 3000 from the east. Gonna enter the left downwind runway 01 for a full stop. Mesquite. There we go. So now, rather than entering the left downwind straight away, like just turning to the left to enter that downwind, I'm just going to fly on and then make a right 270 degree right turn to enter the downwind anyway. So I'm outside of that. Only thing I didn't do right, I suddenly remember or see, is that I'm already on traffic pattern altitude, which isn't a good thing. I should have flying a little bit higher than traffic pattern altitude and now start my descent so I do not fly in the traffic pattern and descend outside of it. So something like this. So a nice standard 8 turn, I guess. Shouldn't descend. There we go. There's the runway. So now we're going to keep on that turn. Mesquite traffic, scanning Papa Hotel Tango, your mark is on the left downwind runway 01 for a full stop. Mesquite. Gonna use my airspeed here just to creep back to that traffic pattern altitude. Or parallel the runway or something like it. Something like this. Yeah, there we are. Nose down. Okay, it's gonna be a fun landing, guys, with that ridge all around it. Means that I need to input this field in the vector tool, the ORBX FTX vector tool, so that the elevations are reset. Okay, so I'm gonna start my descent. Just keep my engine lean, just gonna push forward on the prop. Still 4 wides, as you can see. Mesquite traffic scanning, Papa Hotel Tango near Mike is turning the left base runway 01 full stop, Mesquite. So watching that heading bug, also my speed. And once we are established on that base, I'm gonna put in a second notch of flaps. Also I'm pulling on the yoke, so I need to incrementally get back to the right trim setting. Second notch of flaps. Again, I don't see any other traffic. There's the runway, still 4 wides. Are those Papi or Vasi lights? Oh, shouldn't go that slow. Nose down because we need to descend anyway. Let's make that turn. Mesquite traffic scanning, Papa Hotel Tango and Mike is turning final, runway 01 for a full stop, Mesquite. Too fast. Allowing that airspeed to bleed off. Still, I don't need to fly the glide path, obviously. So sticking a little bit more higher up makes sense considering that ridge. Because you can see I cannot even see the numbers anymore because of that ridge. So I'm just gonna fly a little bit higher. There are the numbers again, so I'm just gonna keep those 4 wides in, because otherwise my tail is gonna hit that ridge in front of us, which is totally silly. Obviously, this is not a real world setting. I like the trees nearby that runway, by the way. So there we are. So we just passed that ridge, so let's hit that throttle stop. There we go. Okay guys, pray for me. Pray. There we go. Oh, throttle back. Throttle back, throttle back, throttle back. Allow that airspeed to bleed off. Don't need to climb. Sensitive stuff. Not too bad, but not pretty. Full brakes. Because I don't like to taxi back. And there we are. Mesquite Airport. Look at this, that ridge. Seems like a secret airbase. Okay, so we taxied here. Park and brakes are set. Reset to 1000. Leaned already for ground, which is good. Flaps up. Transponder set to on. Landing lights off. Strobe lights off. Let's open a window for cooling. And we can open our cowl flaps. Yeah. Oh, we didn't reset. I did mention, guys, that I should remember to set that fuel tank to both, also as part of the entry procedure. So that's something that I forgot. And as you can see here in the gallons, you can see that the difference has just switched. Now the left tank is a little bit more low than the right one. And in the background, I can hear an airplane. So perhaps there is some drone traffic here. Or because it's X-plane, it's on a quite different altitude. Perhaps it's on top of us, soaring somewhere, sitting in the air. Okay. Let's go this direction. I like the big trees around, but the terrain is silly. I guess we're also gonna refuel. Because chances are we're gonna do a similar kind of flight soon, which is also gonna take about 20 gallons. And there we go. Waiting. Something like that. Okay. Park and brake set again. The logbook. 1 hour and 14 minutes. Set our transponder back to standby so that when the next time we turn on our avionics, our transponder is not already transmitting any stuff. So that's good. Avionics off. Cut off. There it is. Ignition switch to off. Generator off. Batteries off. Cowl flaps closed. Set our tank to prevent cross-feeding. Doors open. Released our seat belts. And our pedo cover and also tie downs and also the wheel chocks. Yep, they are on. And finally the control wheel lock. And that completes our flight all the way up to Mesquite. Guys. Hey, baby powder. Yeah, I flew over the Hoover Dam, which was kind of fun. Yeah, it was a nice flight. A short flight, but I really enjoyed myself. Yeah, it's silly to see what the scenery is doing here. So the airport elevation scenery, the meshes don't really nicely comply with ORBX's. So that's silly. So I'm going to see if I can reset that in just a bit. What we can also do is just quickly refuel. So let's do that. Bloop. Not to be too heavy, especially when we need to depart. Which is going to be awesome and exciting to see whether we can actually depart. I guess we can. The Skyline is really rockets. It's almost like a rocket, I guess, when taking off. So I guess we will be fine. But we're going to have a look next time. Guys, welcome. So yeah, that was episode 25, spotting the Hoover Dam. So we did, was fun. Next up is, I don't know, we're just gonna do a regular flight. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I'm really looking forward to use flight following. I should have used flight following in some episodes before because of congested airspace and a lot of other advantages that flight following provides. So I've been studying flight following for the last couple of days and already have a proper understanding of how to use it. So I'm hoping to show you how flight following works in the next episode or the episode next to it, so we can start using that, which also will make the stream more interactive, I guess. So I will chat with A2C much more often, which is going to be fun, I hope. So I hope you enjoyed. Hoping to see you next time. I don't know when I'm going to fly again. Perhaps this evening. I don't know for sure. Otherwise, it's going to be Friday or in the weekends. Hope I will see you there. Please feel free to tweet me or mention me or whatever on Twitter if you have questions or suggestions. On YouTube, please leave a comment. Thank you for following. Tam Spears, thank you so much. That's very encouraging. Also, if you haven't followed me, if you're not following me on Twitch, please do, to get that instant notification when I fly, so you can jump aboard and follow me along as I try to come as close to a real-world instrument rating in Flight Simulator as I possibly can. Christoph, thank you for following. Cool, awesome. So as such, the uncertified pilot kind of like becomes a meeting point. I hope for similar spirits, same spirit pilots who like to take Flight Simulator more seriously than just making casual flights with a nice back music tune. But really try to challenge themselves and try to learn real-world aviation stuff, which I think is really, really exciting and really, really fun. Thanks again, guys. Happy flights and blue skies. See you next time.
I'm passing through 500 Chinook 715. 715, 134.125.